Hi everybody, I'm Beato. In today's Everything Music, I'm going to talk about how to flow between modes. What that means is how to make your scales connect from chord to chord so that when you're changing modes, you move on the downbeat to the closest available note in the next mode so that your scales will flow from one to the other really naturally and make your playing sound seamless. That's coming up next. I want to talk about how to flow between Dorian to Dominant Diminished to Ionian through a 2-5-1 progression. I'm going to go through a series of 9 exercises that start the same way with the same idea on the Dorian side of it, and then will resolve to different chord tones on the one chord as they go through. Let's get started. Okay, this first example sounds like this. What I'm doing here when I talk about flowing between scales, so I start out with a Dorian idea. So I've got A minor 7 to D7 flat 9 to G major 7, and I'm resolving to G6. Okay, so I start the idea like this in A Dorian. I start on the 3rd and I played. That's my da 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 da. So I'm starting on the 3rd to the 4th or 11, 5th, 7, flat 7, 4th, 3rd, 9th, root, and then the chord change on the D7, I go to the flat 5 instantly on that downbeat. I flow right from the root of the A Dorian down to the flat 5, so it's a half-step resolution. Always the strongest resolution from scale to scale, or from chord to chord, is a half step, either ascending or descending. So this is a seamless transition into D dominant diminished, which would be this scale. That's really the sound of that chord, D7 flat 9. So I'm going. There's a scale change. Right down. I'm actually doing slides to give it more feel, where I'm going. So I'm playing a G add 9 on the G major 7 chord. And I'm resolving to the 6th of the G6 chord. I'm going to play it again for you. So what I want you to see there is that when I'm doing the transition from scale to scale, from Dorian to Dominant Diminished, when I'm doing the transition from Dorian to Dominant Diminished, I'm finding the closest scale tone in the scale, and I'm continuing on. I already know if I start on the flat 5 here, and I play all eighths, if I play all eighth notes, I'm going to land on the note G, on the tonic, on the downbeat. So if I start on the flat 5, okay, so the next idea starts with the same line on the Dorian, and then on the Dominant Diminished goes. That way, I did one turnaround in it. When I did the transition to the D7 flat 9, I started on the flat 5, but then I went up. So I went flat 5 to the 5th, back to the flat 5. By adding that extra little tag to it, it gave me 3 extra notes of the scale so that I would resolve to the 3rd of the G major 7 chord, or the note B. So there's the 3rd. So I'm resolving to the 3rd on the downbeat, and I'm going. Let me show it to you here. Okay, so what did I do here? I start out the same way on the A Dorian on the 3rd. That part of the line is identical on every one of these. And then I resolve to the flat 5 in the Dominant Diminished scale. That's the closest scale tone resolving down to that flat 5, but I'm going flat 5, 5, flat 5. So that I end on the 3rd. So I always want to end on a strong chord tone. The root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. And on the G major 7 I'm playing. So 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 5th. And I resolve it to the major 9. So. But I'm coming down to, there's my B minor triad there. A G major 7th chord is just a B minor triad with G in the bass. Listen to it again. Listen to the line again. Okay, the next line . Okay, so the 3rd line that we're going to do is going to have the same transition point, which will be the flat 5 or the sharp 4 on the D7 flat 9 chord. It's going to go like this. And I'm resolving to the 5th this time. So I did 2 upper neighbor tones in the diminished scale, so that I would resolve to the 5th of the chord. The last one went, the first one was just right down the scale. The second one was to the 3rd, and the 3rd one is to the 5th. And then I did 5 on the G major chord. I did 5, 6, 7, 9, 5, 7, 6, 3rd. Listen to it with the music. By turning around that diminished scale, by resolving to the closest note out of Dorian to the closest scale tone of the D dominant diminished scale on the downbeat, and then knowing how to turn the line around to where I'm going to resolve to the 5th. So I'm always trying to resolve to the strong chord tones on the strong beats. So the first line resolved to the root of the G major 7, the second line resolved to the 3rd, the 3rd line resolved to the 5th. Okay, so this is example number 4. This switches it up a little bit. It's going to go in a little different direction. So check this out. I'll play it with the music. Okay, so what did I do on that one? Well, I decided to switch the line up a little bit, and I did. And I did a major 7th jump on this one. So I'm gonna go in a different direction using the same dominant diminished scale on the D7 chord, but I went to the 13th. So, and then my first note of the downbeat is going to be a major 7th interval jump to the 13th of the D7. So it's D13 flat 9. That resolves to the 3rd of the G major 7th chord. So I did a just so it's putting a little bit of a 1 diminished chord. So let me. So once again, I'm changing scales on the downbeat, but this time I'm doing a large interval jump into the downbeat. But it's actually, I am resolving down by half step, but I'm using octave displacement this time. So I could be going. So here, that was the same line, but everything moved down the octave. Or so that's what we're calling octave displacement. Octave displacement is simply when you take a line and you jump unexpectedly up the octave or down the octave. There's you can play a chromatic scale. You can play a chromatic scale with octave displacement. So it'd be like A flat, G, F sharp, F, E flat. That's octave displacement. I'm going to do a whole video on that. Okay, so example number 5 starts out the same way again on A Dorian. Does the jump up to the 13th, and then it does this turnaround. So that I resolve to the 5th of it. But I go 5th, 4th, to the 9th passing tone, to the 3rd on the G major 7. So okay. Do it again. Once again, I did an upper neighbor tone in there to delay the resolution so that I could resolve onto the 5th instead of the 3rd. The line before this went straight down the scale. This time I used an upper neighbor tone somewhere in the middle of the scale so that I would resolve to the 5th. It just delayed the resolution. And if you do 2 upper neighbors, like I'm going to do on the next one, okay, example number 6 is going to shift positions. This is going to be a new direction in the line, but it's still going to be Dorian to dominant diminished. But this line goes like this. I'll play it for you. Let me do it again. Okay, what am I doing on this one? Starting the line the same way. So I started on the 3rd again. And when I go to the D7 flat 9 chord, I jumped up to the 13. 13, 5th, flat 5 or sharp 4, 5th, up to the root, flat 7, 13, 5th, right down to the root of the G major 7th chord, and I'm going root, 9th, so strong beat, weak beat, strong beat on the 3rd, weak beat on the 5th, strong beat on the major 7, and then weak, strong, down to chromatic. And I'm going 5th root. So once again, let me play it for you. So I'm moving to the closest chord tone when I'm doing the transition from scale to scale. So I'm going on the downbeat, so I'm going from C on the A minor 7th chord to B on the D7 chord, but I'm jumping up the octave using octave displacement, or octave dispersion is another term for it. Okay, example 7, once again, is going to move from position to position using the dominant diminished scale on the 5 chord, but this time I'm going to do this. Let me play it for you with the music. So when I do the transition to the D7 flat 9, I'm playing. So I'm going the 6th to the 5th, root to the flat 7, sharp 9, flat 9 to the root to the flat 7 to the 3rd, 7th, 9th root on the G major 7. So I'll play it for you again. What I'm doing here is playing a diminished scale in thirds. So you'll find that's kind of a common jazz line to play on a dominant diminished scale or tonic diminished scale. But what you want to do is really gain that facility in that dominant diminished scale so that you can play. You want to be able to gain facility in that dominant diminished scale, even if you're playing ideas. Even if you're moving on one string, you want to be able to flow naturally in it. All right, example 8 uses a different transition point, but it's similar in that it transitions from A on the A Dorian scale to the A flat or G sharp on the D 7 flat 9 chord, and it's going to go like this. Play with the music. Okay, so what am I doing on this one? Starting the same way, resolving to the flat 5 or sharp 4 on the D7 flat 9 chord, but I'm playing A flat major. So I'm applying an A flat over D chord, which gives me a dominant 7 flat 9 flat 5 sound. So there's my transition. Up to the 13th, 5th, sharp 9, flat 9 to the 5th of the G major 7. So, flat 9 resolves to the 5th. Always want to get that half-step resolution there. And then down to the root. I'll play it again. Okay, so the last example, example 9, changes position, but this one also makes use of the A flat major triad in the D dominant diminished scale. It's really the tritone substitute because you're implying an A flat 7 chord, for example. So you're going or really, there's your A flat major over D. That's actually a cooler sound than playing the stock voice and you playing guitar. Much hipper to play that. So this one goes like this. Okay, so very simply, I'm playing transition. So, doing the A flat triad, then I go up to the 13th, then up to the root. Remember, we have all those minor thirds in the dominant diminished scale. So I'm going, and I'm resolving to the major 7th on the G. Kind of a nice sound. This is the only example where I'm not doing a half-step resolution. If I was to do a half-step resolution, this is the only example where I'm not using a half-step resolution into the tonic chord. I'm playing, resolving to the major 7. If I want to do a half-step resolution, I have to do something like this to the 9th. So I'd resolve downbeat to the major 9. So that would be a way to use a half-step resolution. I think it sounds kind of cool. So a little different flavor. What you should practice is trying to get transition tones between scales, from Dorian to dominant diminished, or Dorian to altered dominant, or Dorian to mixolydian, or mixolydian sharp 11, and try to flow between the scales. So if I'm using altered dominant, and if I start A minor 7, and I go to the sharp 5, and I can come down. resolution. Or I'm a half step resolution to the flat 5. So. Practice flowing between scales from the Dorian to whatever kind of dominant sound that you have, using chord tones on strong beats and non-chord tones on weak beats or passing tones, and making that transition note from scale to scale a half step. That's all for now. Please subscribe here to my Everything Music YouTube channel. I'm Rick Beato.